Boy, that escalated quickly.
Man, I just can't. I'm sorry, I just can't. I feel like I'm actually feeling Star Wars fatigue. I'm not kidding you. Like, I kid you not when I say this, but like, in 2019, when Disney Plus like first aired, and still even to this day, I would immediately like wake up in the morning and watch like the latest of like the newest show. Hell, for example, no joke, I am not screwing with you. I woke up around 3 to 5 o'clock a.m. just to watch the premiere of Mandalorian Season 2 as early as possible, while even having Baby Yoda cereal. Like, I kid you not, that's how big of a Star Wars fan I am, even after The Rise of Skywalker. That's how bad it is. But this has to be the first time where I felt like I was forcing myself to keep up with this show. Like, I think this is the first piece of Star Wars media where I actually felt tired with this franchise. Because I've been a fan of this franchise since 2015. I could always understand the dark reality of how Star Wars in general is, both on and off screen, both when it comes to the fans and the creators of this popular IP. Because in my mind, in many people's eyes I believe, is that after The Rise of Skywalker, I feel like Star Wars just hasn't recovered. Even though we've had like good to great shows like Andor, Ahsoka, or Season 1 and 2 of Mandalorian, there is always something bad that just ruins the goodwill of both fans and the overall storytelling of this franchise. And honestly, in general, Star Wars has been stuck on Disney Plus rotting for years now. And yes, while Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett are bad, I feel like Acolyte is the breaking point for most people. And while I'm still writing this ship, it's looking really grim because, in all honesty, I really wanted to like the show. I'm not exactly a big fan of the High Republic era because, to be honest, I don't really find that era appealing, but I wanted this to be what inspired that spark in me. But no, this was disappointing, not only on a Star Wars level, but on a level of storytelling, and not even having the ability to even write good characters. But I want to be perfectly clear here. I want to describe this in detail. I want to go section by section to describe to you how bad this is. Like, I don't want to look at just the thing as a whole. I want to look at the plot, the main characters, a brief episode by episode description, and the overall main specific issues with the show itself. I'm picking this apart one by one. We're going into detail. This show made me insane, so I'm dragging you along with me. Alright, here we go. So, to get the plot and setup out of the way, basically the story and what was quote-unquote advertised during the High Republic era of the Jedi, there has been investigations of Jedi being murdered, and all of it has a connection to a group of 4 Jedi that leads all together. Now, on its own, it's a good idea. Honestly, I think it's a good concept. But like most of recent Star Wars, execution is better said than done because it is not handled well in this at all. Because all of the marketing for this show was finding the murderer of the one killing Jedi, which, as we will discuss, is not hard to find out. Because, as I will mention throughout this video, is the whole online discourse of this show, because you can't look at this show as a vacuum on its own. I feel like this is basically just baked in to just the whole internet discussion online. And the thing that I want to do is I'm going to have clips from like several people throughout this video, and the one person I actually want to really have that represents how this murder mystery isn't exactly a murder mystery is a YouTuber on the platform that I think covers Star Wars very well, because he's actually like level-headed and not like some like grifter type, and that is Sheev Talks, who actually released on episode 5 and perfectly described how incompetent the writers are of writing the script.
During the fight, Jackie managed to knock off Smilo's helmet, so now we get the big reveal that I've already spoiled for you, the one nobody could have seen coming. This is the equivalent to watching an episode of Scooby-Doo where they only introduce like 1 or 2 suspects that the villain of the week could possibly be, and then that's the one it ends up being. Only that's a children's cartoon that wasn't ever trying to be that difficult to figure out, and this is supposed to be a serious production.
But you know what? That's getting too far ahead. I have to look at the characters one by one, because if you thought the prequels had bland and one-note characters, well, think again, because not only are these characters only written to move the plot, they barely have any motivation of their own. They also even contradict their own actions. I don't even know how that's even possible, because getting with the main character, I cannot tell you a single thing about Osha, our main character. I love that she cares and worries about her sister, but that's really about it. I looked up her character description, and all it said was that she was intelligent and brave. Like, come the fuck on, I need real stuff here. And then we have May. Oh my god. She is also bad. She has no character, but at least she's motivated by killing the Jedi because the Jedi, like, killed her mother. But like I said, we're getting too far ahead. And then we have Smilo Ren, which is actually kind of like, unironically, the best character in this series. That I know that's not saying much, but it is something. But he's like super evil, super cryptic, but he doesn't really have like a goal. Like, I don't really know what his goal is. I'm guessing we're gonna find out in season 2, but I will be damn surprised if this show gets a season 2. I mean, like, I guess he's like mad that the Jedi have like absolute power and doesn't want him to, you know, he's just like hiding in the shadows, I guess. So that's more bare bones than Skeletor. But like, what about the Jedi? Well, we have Soul, who is like the only interesting character. And I will say this, and I think this is, I don't want to understate this because this is very impressive in my opinion, is that the actor who plays Soul, I will say this, I don't want to understate how impressive this is, but the actor who plays Soul, who everyone knows him as the Squid Games actor, was able to learn English to play this character. And by God, that is actually amazing in my opinion. And it's even more better because he's a fan of Star Wars and actually based his character off of Qui-Gon Jinn, which I thought was pretty neat, I'm not gonna lie. But in general, he's not a perfect character, but he at least has like semi-redeeming, you know, traits that make him like a really good character, like a standout in this show. Honestly, that's really about it, like, for characters. And and after episode 5, it doesn't matter, because I'm not gonna lie, like, for other characters in this show, I mean, I like Yord. He's like a cool, like, dedicated, you know, to the Jedi way, follow things to the letter, and we could have gone deeper into it overall, but too bad, he's dead. Same thing for Jackie, because I liked her, you know, connection with Osha, and then, oh wait, no! Besides that, we don't have enough time with any other character that I consider relevant. So, I guess with that out of the way, I guess we gotta go into the episodes themselves. We're gonna go one by one, all 8 episodes. Yay!
Attack me with all your strength.
Alright, so I guess, like, episode 1 is fine, I guess. At least compared to the other episodes. I mean, it starts off with May killing, you know, like, the first of the Jedi. And I mean, like, and everyone says this, and I agree too, the action in this is pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, like, I feel like everyone that sees this show can appreciate that. Because, like, it's only ruined just because of the fact that May killed her with a cheap shot. Alone, it's fine, but, like, after finding out that she's been training for the Sith, and in turn means that she should be getting more powerful and strong in the Force, and, like, increasing your power, just doesn't really make sense. I guess for like a similar comparison would be Star Wars Force Unleashed, because while it's not canon anymore, in the beginning of the story of the game, we followed Darth Vader's apprentice Starkiller, killing Jedi to be fully by Darth Vader's side, and in doing so, you challenge stronger Jedi over time, and in doing so, you increase your Force abilities and your overall strength. And while yes, it works due to like video game aspects, the concept still applies to this. And while yes, Starkiller is like a, you know, overpowered video game developer's wet dream, and May isn't, it still should act in the same sense. But honestly, that's not even like that big of a deal, but whatever. And then we have the whole fire and space thing, which I don't really understand why that was such like a big deal. Because whenever the first episode came out, this was like such like a hot topic. People had it like in thumbnails and everything. And if we want to get technical here, fire has been in space in Star Wars before, even in the OG trilogy.
Oh, I made that video about bad faith criticism, and they always want to talk about the past. Remember how good Look, there's fire in space right there! Look, it's right there! Remember how good Star Wars was when fire was in space? Yeah, there you go. There's your fire in space. It's right there, buddy.
But, like, honestly, don't call the show stupid because of it. But speaking of this, is how Osha has, like, a forced vision of her sister while looking at the fire. But it's established earlier in the story that she's been cut off from the Force ever since. And even in a bad show like Obi-Wan established that the Force doesn't work when you're cut off. So, like, I don't know. I mean, like, I guess we should just not care. Just enjoy the content. Just enjoy the slop we have now. But then, I guess after that, we had the Jedi come to question Osha. And I gotta tell you, with this show, it is very convenient that after all these years, somehow, both Osha and May have the same hairstyle. And obviously, it is just so apparent that it's just to bring Osha in the plot. Like, this is just the beginning, and already it's a slippery slope. And it makes it even worse because the Jedi caught Osha, but instead of bringing her to Coruscant personally for allegedly killing a Jedi during the High Republic, they put her in a regular prison ship. I mean, like, why didn't the Jedi just bring her there? Like, I don't, like, obviously it's just so Master Soul could, like, get involved in the plot. But honestly, it doesn't make sense. And honestly, it's even more hilarious because on the ship, not only are there no human guards, but conveniently, one of the criminals has technology that hacks the droids on the ship. So, and this is even more stupid, but I'm guessing the High Republic, they caught, the guy with the hacking technology, they knew his ability, but still felt it was necessary to put him on the ship with robots he probably could have hacked. Like, I don't know if this is just, like, lazy writing, or it's just so stupid, I can't even, like, begin to imagine how stupid it is. But whatever, then we have the stupid ending with Smiler Ren going, like, no steel or saber can kill a Jedi, and, like, ignites his blade for no reason. And, like, yeah, sure, in Solo it's stupid there, but at least it's, like, to intimidate Korra.
My mind's eye. Kenobi. Kenobi!
Wait, that isn't my thing. This is her. I didn't know what she was going to do with that stuff.
Episode 2 is honestly, like, whatever. No, my only issue, I guess, is, like, how the hell did the Jedi not realize the Sith was right in front of the room? Now, yes, obviously, we could look at the prequels and go, like, how did Yoda and the rest of the Jedi not realize Palpatine was a Sith? And while, yes, it is stupid there, at least in the movies, Palpatine is, like, an official, like, upstanding senator and chancellor. But here, the Jedi are actively, like, looking for a Jedi killer, and someone in an association will be questioned or at least mind probed. Like, Jesus Christ, even the Clone Wars did this. Like, why don't the Jedi do it to him?
Get out of my head!
Yes, right. No one's messing with your head.
Get out of my
Nobody's
head!
messing with your head.
Get out of my
Let's just
head!
put
Alright, oh my god. Alright, so episode 3 is considered the worst episode for, like, of Star Wars. People are calling it, like, the most lore-breaking episode of Star Wars. And I'm gonna be honest here. Did it? Because people would like to tell you that they ruined Anakin. They made him, like, not special because of Osha and May being created by the Force, by witches, and, like, not having a father and all that stuff. But if we're being honest, if we're saying Anakin isn't special because he wasn't quote-unquote the only one to be created by the Force, but I guess no one remembers this quote from Palpatine.
Influence the midi-chlorians to create life.
But hey, if you just want to believe he's lying, then yeah, sure, be my guest, just believe that. But honestly, what's the problem? Because honestly, Anakin had the highest midichlorian count, even higher than Master Yoda, and was shown to have advanced skills and was recognized to be the chosen one, and brought balance to the Force. Oh no, sorry, I guess he didn't, because somehow Palpatine returned. But yet in the EU, I barely hear anyone upset about that. But hey, that's a conversation for another time. Alright, so with that, we then have others that consider the whole lore-breaking, canon-breaking thing about, you know, like, the thread, you know, like their nature of the Force. And this time, I was like, why are people upset about this? It was established and stated that the Force has been used and interpreted in many ways, such is the case in this quote from Rebels.
The Ashla.
The spirit of the galaxy.
Sounds like the Force.
The Force has many names, Ezra.
Because honestly, what I said about the fire stuff and all this other little nitpicky things, the small stuff honestly is what buries the bad about this actual show. Is the fact that people focus on so many little things that don't matter, that consider it bad, but there's actual bad things about the show that nobody talks about that makes it so confusing why people think this show is bad. Then we have the scene, which I will admit actually is pretty bad, I'm not gonna lie. The whole power of one, power of two, the power of many. Like, that actually is bad. But with the whole Jedi confrontation, May goes off and is like, if I can't have you, then you shall burn in the depths of hell. And then the whole stone building burns on fire, which makes sense to me, it tracks. And all the witches are dead apparently. Boy, I wonder if we're going to pick up this detail later. Also, this is a small nitpick, but with Soul trying to save May and Osha, he uses the Force on the railing, but, like, couldn't you use the Force on holding them and not the railing? Because you would have saved them if you just used the Force on them and not the railing. But hey, man, you gotta make a story. Who cares about, you know, like, logic and reason, I guess.
She's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes. In a very woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be in that, because I feel like Star Wars is very, like, patriarchal.
It's false. No way. Not this time. We created it. Not this time. No, not this time. It's totally made up. Pure fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. We made it up. A made-up tale. It's a total fabrication.
He was trained in the Jedi arts.
Impossible. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium.
Alright, episode 4 is honestly pretty boring. It's just a hike up a mountain so that they could lead into episode 5. That's really about it. I have really nothing special to say, except... Holy shit! Is that iconic character Ki-Adi-Mundi? Alright, now this is especially bad, because this feels like its own section of its own. Because I feel like we have both sides that are wrong about this situation. Because when this came out, people were quick to mention that this breaks episode 1 when Ki-Adi-Mundi says that the Sith has been dead for over a millennium. So everyone would say that this breaks Star Wars, and the idea of the Sith even being alive contradicts Star Wars itself. And to that I might say, that is the dumbest shit I've ever heard. First off, if you actually watch the scene, there is no mention of the Sith during that meeting, and everyone assumes that it's a splinter cell of Rogue Jedi. And hell, at the end, it's covered up by Vernestra, or whatever her name is. And in regards to contradicting Star Wars itself, how do you think the Sith returned? Because they were hiding in the shadows. The only reason why he said that is because at that time, the Jedi in general were ignorant and in general dogmatic, and that's how they had their unchecked power. Because in the prequels and this show itself, it gives us context with the characters like Yord, Vernestra, or in the prequels case, like Ki-Adi-Mundi and Mace Windu. But hey, if we want to get specific here, let's dive into Ki-Adi-Mundi, because that line he says in The Phantom Menace is seen as concrete evidence for how Star Wars Acolyte breaks canon. But maybe if some of these folks are just bad at analyzing media, but Ki-Adi-Mundi is supposed to be wrong with every statement he makes. Everything he says is wrong. And the reasoning for this is supposed to represent how the Jedi are flawed in their perspective. Oh, the Sith have been extinct for over a millennium. Oh shit, they're back.
He is a political idealist, not a murderer.
And even though with funny stuff like the meme, what about the droid attack on the Wookiees? Yes, it is funny, I'm not gonna lie to you there, I meme on it all the time, but it's supposed to show how he's wrong, how it caused Yoda to leave Coruscant and caused the fall of the Jedi. And I'm not trying to have this sudden love and care for Ki-Adi-Mundi, like bro is a meme character at most. And as I stated, his inclusion in terms of this show is stupid, because as quoted from the head of this show, they wanted to have a prequel character, and I'm like, I'm sorry, but what reason besides, hey guys, look, it's that character? Oh, and honestly, this is a really good one. I love how this just showed Star Wars fans' true colors, because they tried to say this show was bad because they changed Ki-Adi-Mundi's birth date. I kid you not. Yes, you heard me right. They're upset because they changed a minor character's birth date.
The whole argument that people are crying about Ki-Adi-Mundi's age was never a canon thing. You got to get that through your heads. It was never true canon. It is a piece of information that came from this place, a CD-ROM.
Looks like a sick CD-ROM though.
It was an awesome, I had this thing.
I don't know, man. I can't, because on the surface, people call this a bad show for the wrong reasons. And honestly, it does bug me. It honestly does. Because a show, or any piece of media, in my opinion, shouldn't be judged off of a false basis and on its actual points it represents. Alright, anyways, that's episode 5. My only other issue is, like, the fact that Smiler Ren could force push away like multiple Jedi, even though Palpatine 100 years later is only able to fight off like 4 Master Jedi and still lose.
Why risk discovery?
Well, I did wear a mask.
Episode 5 is honestly pretty cool spectacle-wise. I mean, the fight's cool, but there's a lot of parts that just don't make sense with like the actions the characters make, and this doesn't help the show but the head of this show compared this to the Duel of the Fates, and I mean, like, action wise I guess, but like sound presentation wise, I don't know, man. I don't think personally. Also, yes, the burnt hair is stupid, I don't need to mention that. And I love, not only did Smiler Ren lose to bugs, but Soul didn't go looking for him after he murdered his Padawan and a whole company of Jedi. Also, with the whole, like cortosis metal material, I honestly don't care. The fact that it's canon now kind of makes me question, like, why like Darth Vader or General Grievous didn't have it covered head to toe. But honestly, that's a small nitpick. That's a small thing that honestly doesn't matter. I mean, genuinely, I do think it looks cool. I like whenever it just like turns off lightsabers. That's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie. I like the fact that they took that small detail from the EU.
It fades. Below the surface of consciousness are powerful emotions.
That's the path to the dark side.
Episode 6 is pretty boring. Nothing like important happens, at least for me to care about. My only issue is the fact that May is like pretending to be Osha, and the fact that Master Soul doesn't sense this, because in the Clone Wars Yoda mentions how the Force is able to tell how everyone is different. But you know what, this is a small nitpick, but guess what, guys, the nitpicks always add up.
Sit. Your helmets, remove them. Your faces I wish to see.
There's not much to look at here, sir. We all share the same face.
Deceive you, eyes can. In the Force, very different each one of you are.
I was going to let Osha go.
Episode 7 really is bad, because I assume that this is where the actual mystery was supposed to be marketed as, like the whole like cover-up of the Jedi in the past, because the actual mystery is so obvious, it's not even funny. Because if you combined episode 3 and 7 together, I feel like it would have been more cohesive. Like, I was happy that I got to see like a Wookiee in action, in live action. That was pretty sick. But my main issue is this. This show wants to quote-unquote critique the Jedi and show how that they're bad or whatever, even though it's already been critiqued before, so whatever, you're late to the party. But in this, they show that the Jedi are evil because Soul killed, like the main witch, like their mom. But in all honesty, if you actually look at the scene, he's kind of justified because, like their mom was, gonna separate Osha, have her be free to go with the Jedi. But like she doesn't say or do anything. She just turns into like a puff of smoke. And, like, we don't know what's going on. Soul doesn't know what's going on. She doesn't, like, announce or say what she's doing. So, honestly, like, he's not wrong for doing what he did. I feel like... Because I feel like the show didn't want the Jedi to seem, quote-unquote, too bad. But they also needed a reason to, like, make the story happen. So they just had, like, a best of both worlds. But in general, it just doesn't work.
Thank you for leading me to her. We make a great team.
Oh boy, we made it, folks. We did it. Episode 8. Here we go. The season finale. We're finally here. Yes! Honestly, I don't really have that many issues with this. I enjoyed the fight between Soul and Smilo Ren, especially that shot of them falling to the ground. Honestly, that is sick as bricks. That style, chef's kiss. I feel like Osha's turn to the dark side was a bit rushed and forced, but like I will admit, actually seeing a lightsaber bleed in live action that was incredible, man. That was sick. And then Smilo Ren erases May's mind, which I'm pretty sure is a thing. I'm not denying it, but like honestly, I don't know if that like really. That's just such a cop out, honestly, man. Like I know it's for the plot, but it's just like. It's so dumb. I just like, what? But, like, whatever. I don't know, man. I just want to get this over with. Then, like, Osha kills Soul. That's pretty cool, I guess. And then Venestra covers up the whole reveal of the Sith. So, yay, we're keeping the canon in line, folks. Yippee! And then she just blames it all on Soul. And I'm like, damn, bro. Why you gotta do him dirty like that? And then, guys, for all you boys and girls out there, we get to see the back of Yoda's head. Isn't that cool? And then we also get to see Darth Plagueis. Wow, aren't you guys happy? Oh yeah, also to wrap this up, turns out Smilo Ren was previously Venentra's apprentice.
Next we have...
Alright, so I guess like to get the positives out of the way, because there are some positives, is that the action is good. Like, I'm not gonna lie here. I feel like the action was honestly probably like the action was probably like the best like since the prequels regarding like lightsaber action and all that stuff. That was pretty cool. I guess the CGI was pretty cool except for like certain scenes. I really like the space chase between Soul and May. That was pretty cool. Also, fuck you, Basil, you little weasel. I like the presentation and overall camera work of the show. I feel like the whole cast and crew in general did a pretty solid job with the work that they were given, especially the actor who played Soul. Like I said, I cannot give him enough credit.
Interactive appetite, searching for a website, a window to the world, got to get online.
This is what I wanted to save last before the end of my opinion on the show, and that is the online discourse of the show, because while I'm here for, like reasonable and informational online discussion for this show, because for the first example of how people were saying that like review bombing isn't real, it's a bunch of fake news, even though all of a sudden in a film in 2008 called Acolytes, weirdly enough, all of a sudden had bad reviews all of a sudden. And kind of weird, is there anything that came out like recently with the same name of Acolytes? Oh wait, yes. So weirdly enough, so you're telling me people were so stupid enough that they were review bombing a show, but they didn't get the right thing? Like, are you serious right now? But hey, enough of this. Who cares about the whole review bombing thing? Let's talk about, oh boy, the culture war discourse that's going on the internet. Because if you travel around this neck of the woods on the internet, like regarding film and pop culture, there is a good amount of channels and people that say Star Wars during this time is bad because they're pushing an agenda. They've become bad because it's gone woke. basically people saying that Star Wars is bad now because they hired too many diverse people and too many diverse voices in the series, and that's the reason why the brand of Star Wars and Disney in general has gone bad. And the reasoning why, like, so many content creators on the internet, like Nerdrotic, Geeks and Gamers, Critical Drinker, and so many others do this, is not actually for criticism, but because of the grift that they follow that basically pays their bills. Like, there are genuinely, like, channels like Pillars of Garbage or Xander Hall actually, like, look at and expose these grifters for who they are. Now, I'm not saying that Disney has been in the right direction for this iconic franchise. Fuck no. Because there has been a lot of good and genuinely great pieces that don't get discussed enough because of the negative, toxic place on the internet that sells this. But to be honest, I feel that people are just upset because Star Wars has become different things for different groups of people, and grifters just create this culture war just to say the latest Star Wars show is bad just for money. Because honestly, it just shows that there's just racist and bigoted people that just want to not have identity politics and political messages. Like, I'm sorry to inform you, buddy, but media essentially is based off of that. Like, politics and views have changed, but guess what? The world's changed and always will change. Now, overall, is this the worst Star Wars show of all time? Nah, not by a long shot. That title can never be topped by the Book of Boba Fett. That actually is the worst Star Wars show of all time. I like that this show actually tried to have new ideas, like with the High Republic and all that. We got to see like a different side of the galaxy. But in the end, the poor writing and the choices that they made honestly very much just hurt the show for me, that it just ruined it. I guess, like, in general, this is like a 3 out of 10. I mean, like, it had like nice ideas, but not enough to ignore the issues that it has. If you like this video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. I like to hear your opinions in the comments. I like to have like a rational, reasonable argument about this show. If you genuinely did like this show, please tell me why. And hey, if you did like this, that's good on you, man. I'm glad that you got to enjoy this, because I just didn't. Yeah, that's really about it. I'm Blacked Out Reviews. I reviewed it so you don't have to.